So I'm delighted to be joined by Adam today. And Adam, you're all the way over there in Australia. Hi, Adam.
Hey, how you going, guys? Thankfully, it's quite warm today, but soon it won't be.
Whereabouts in Australia are you, Adam?
I'm in Melbourne, in the very eclectic town called St Kilda.
Ah, beautiful,
That's where we have
beautiful.
Luna Park and the beach and botanical gardens and a whole lot of things happening. Yeah, very, very blessed to be here.
Awesome. We're so lucky to have the internet where we can just connect like this on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I know that you've been doing Matrix Reimprinting for quite a long time now, quite a few years, because we actually met a few years ago in Australia. So would you just tell us a little bit about your story? How were you before you discovered Matrix Reimprinting? What drew you to it and what was going on in your life?
Cool. All right. So when I first heard of Matrix Reimprinting, it was through the internet, and I was desperately seeking solutions and some sort of semblance of a life. So at that stage, I was quite unwell, even though I tried everything I could and did everything I absolutely could in order just to even have a life of anything. So at that point, basically I'd finished my engineering degree, studied civil engineering, passed with like first class honors, got a scholarship for an engineering company, started working there, and then I completely crashed. And so it seemed that I had another relapse of something called chronic fatigue syndrome that I also had previously in my life as well. So I was very familiar with it. I could see the signs from a mile away. Didn't mean it made it any more fun or enjoyable, but it happened. And so at that stage, like I, got my degree. I was apparently set for life, good job, good income, all those things. And I really enjoyed engineering as well. So that was confusing for me. But basically I was just seeking on the internet for ways to understand why I got ill and if there's any possibility to transform my state of health and my state of being. And it was actually meta-medicine, meta-health. And then that got me to Matrix Reimprinting. It was the main technique used through that at that time, because meta-health was the first way I actually understood any logic to illness as in terms of like long-term chronic illness. It actually made some sense. There's actually an explanation, and I'd never even encountered that before. So that was why I was straight away hooked, and I just love delving deeper into learning both of those things.
And what did you discover, Adam? What did you find out about your own self and chronic fatigue?
Well, it's an ongoing journey that I'm always discovering about myself. But the key that I think that I've learned was that for me, my, whatever you want to label it, energy levels, fatigue, illness, it's a reflection of my lack of self. So a lack of self in my life, a lack of expression, a lack of purpose, and on a deeper level, just a lack of wanting to live or wanting to be here. So just like my body through my soul through my body, just communicating that I don't want to be here for some reason. So I understand I can't magically change the world, although we all mostly want to. But it was a journey of how can I be in a world that reflects who I am or who I feel I am, and I am expressed within that. And of course, that's a continuing journey for us all. It's never like a set thing. It's just how can I continually thrive and be my true self at my level of evolution.
I understand what you're saying here, but a lot of people would have been hearing, well, you've just achieved your dream goal of being an engineer and gone through the training. Exactly right. And now you were saying that you found out you didn't want to be here. So could you just unpick that a little bit more for us?
Absolutely. Fantastic question. That's exactly what I did not understand. And I'm not sure that I do entirely understand that, because I feel there are two interlying links there. So one of them is, of course, not feeling like I'm on purpose, not being on purpose. And another one, which you could call like the shadow side or the opposite belief, is that I can't succeed. It's not safe to succeed. I'm not allowed to be here. So they can interplay, I believe. But I sort of see it as two aspects of my psyche that direct me towards a direction until that direction is no longer serving me and I'm serving it. and then it's time to go to the next thing. So for example, at that time when I studied engineering, I was pretty disconnected as a human. That's what engineers sort of, not bagging engineers. I love engineers. I still actually work with engineers, and I still work in engineering, and I'm about to be classified as a professional engineer. But the general aspect of engineering, especially studying, it's just on a computer or on your book doing calculations, and it's all in the mind. It's all left-brained. It's not really so much about empathic connection and being with people around you. So I think that part of me just didn't want to spend, a decade or so at a desk doing calculations before I could then be a manager or something, or leader, and connect with people and be an influencer. So I'm very lucky that I actually got 3 different roles that I do currently. And one of them actually is in engineering. It's introducing engineering to school students. So I really love that. So I get to share my passion for engineering and learning about buildings, sustainability, humanitarian aspects to design. But I don't have to be just noting things out on a computer, which I can do. I actually quite enjoy that, but I just didn't feel that was a full expression of myself, like my whole self. So it was up to me to find a way through the dark, bashing around along the way, to find a way when I could express all of myself. So I think that, does that help answer I think that answers the first half. So my perception of that time was that I was expressing a part of myself really well, but if I was to go down that direction of life, it would not express my full self at all. It would be like 1% of who I am. Just like getting a job, getting a house, blah, 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 and just being like normal. That wasn't me. I just didn't realize that at the time because I didn't know there was anything else really available. Having said that, I do like your point you brought up. So I think there can be the opposing belief as well was I can't go in direction. So for example, I could have, whatever could have happened. I could have got my engineering degree. I could have worked for 1 year as an engineer, and then I could have got money through that. Then I could have got a different job that didn't require calculations or just being in front of a desk all the time. So I don't really know, but I always acknowledge those 2 aspects along the way. Yeah, so it can be a bit of so-called self-sabotage of like, I'm not willing to receive or be successful. I don't deserve it. It could be like, I don't want to destroy the planet, all these other things that come through. Everything we do has everlasting effects. Well, you could argue the opposite to that as well, but everything we do has infinite effects infinitely. So I didn't want to invest myself into that realm or that way of being when there could be a different way. So that's why I really love doing sustainability and humanitarian engineering that I do at the moment. Yeah, does that answer your question enough? Because there's a lot to cover. So.
I know. How did Matrix Reimprinting help you discover all of that dual thing that was going on? Yep. How did that work for you?
All right. So did a few things. So Matrix Reimprinting, one of the key things it did, it just allowed me to connect to my spirit again, to get my spirit operating back in my body. So that, I'm not sure if everybody knows how Matrix Reimprinting does work, but a simple way to describe it is that it helps us connect to our spirit that has been, or our soul that's been disconnected through various emotional events or traumas or stressful times, and very, very lovingly call that back into our body through the whole process. And the result is we feel more alive, we're more shiny, we're more warm, and then we generally have more inspiration as we have that light in our body, our beingness. As a reflection, we have more inspiration for life as well. So through the Matrix Reimprinting, that helped me to bring more of myself into my body that I was unable to connect to. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, but it helped me to just know that all these aspects were there, just waiting for me.
Yeah, so those aspects of ourselves that kind of get disconnected during a trauma, Carl talks very much about the freeze response. So, when we experience a trauma, part of us kind of splits off and gets held in the matrix, as we call it out here. So what you're describing is going into past traumatic events into your life, and then bringing that aspect of you, that frozen part of you, back into you to make you whole.
Exactly right. And it's just incredible because we have boundless amounts of energy and boundless amount of self, and we may or may not realize that. It's just incredible how much we can call into our body and how life can just be so much more than we imagined. We can just experience, like, literally whatever we dreamed, that was the tip of the iceberg to what we can actually experience in our life. So it's so phenomenal. And yeah, it really, especially in the early days, it helped me connect so well, as I was very highly disconnected. And a lot of the modalities that I attempted, for whatever reason at that time, they wouldn't, basically just didn't help me on a long-term basis. It's like I'd feel good doing it. But I found that with Matrix Reimprinting, especially, it helped me to reconnect these things for good. And that was deeply powerful lessons, because we really cleared the trauma and any reason why that part would not be connected. So then it was safe and it was welcomed into our experience.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Adam, you mentioned that you have a number of lines that you do now, and I know one of them is actually working with people.
Yep.
Using EFT Matrix Reimprinting, and you mentioned Meta Health as well. So, if people are kind of listening to you and go, "Oh, I really fancy contacting this person. I really resonate with what he's saying," how would people contact you?
Cool. All right. Firstly, thank you to anyone thinking that. Appreciate that a lot. So I have a website. It is choosetochange.com.au, and that's all letters. Basically, that's my business name, and a pretty clear message there. Change happens all the time. We need to choose it. We need to embrace it, and just go with it. So whatever's happening, you just got to go with it, and finding a way to help that change happen, it can just make things a lot more effortless.
Beautiful. And I love what you were saying when we were chatting before we started this about, you're helping people to be more empowered and empowering them in the session to actually heal themselves.
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's all about that. Cool. Thank you so much, Sharon, for connecting. I haven't seen you for 3 or 4 years, probably 4 years. And once again, a huge thank you to you. You've been a massive influence on my life. And doing the Birth Reimprinting course with you was transformative as well. I still remember some of the things that I covered in that course to this day. Excellent. And of course, I do that all the time with clients as well. So I want to thank you so much for that. You're a massive contribution.
Beautiful. Thank you, Adam. And if you were to have a message for Carl, what would you like to say to Carl?
Message for Carl. Oh. Thank you. There's so much love. Thank you so much. And we all love you back for all the work you've done.